Trade unions and workers' organizations around the world show their solidarity with the Panamanian trade union movement in general strike against Molino's government. And the newly elected South Korean President Jae-myung took office on Wednesday, a day after winning the snap election with 49.42% of the nearly 35 million votes cast. And Israel has continued to pound Gaza, killing close to 100 people in the last 24 hours across the coastal enclave. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. Trade union and workers' organizations around the world have shown their solidarity with the Panamanian trade union movement, denouncing the government of José Raúl Molino's violent response to legitimate demands of the Panamanian working class. Organizations from Indonesia, Belgium, the United Kingdom, Germany, Spain, and Brazil, as well as the International Labour Organization itself, have expressed their support for the leadership of Panama's National Union of Construction and Similar Workers, in light of the national government's violent attack on them. Several representatives have gathered outside Panamanian embassies around the world to voice their concerns about the situation in Panama and remind the government that the right to peaceful protest must be upheld.
Hoy hemos sido recibidos por el embajador de Panamá en Francia.
Today we have been received by the ambassador of Panama in France, alongside trade unions, especially the CJT. We are defending the union freedoms of Panama. These have been violated for many months and years. We currently have union leaders who are imprisoned, in addition to bank accounts and trade unions closed without any reason. Therefore, we have come to express our deep concern about the serious situation Panama faces.
Preocupación por la grave situación que se vive en
On Tuesday night, the National Congress of Honduras approved 12 articles of the electoral budget that will guarantee the elections on November 30th. During the session, 1.73 million lempiras, just over 62,000 euros, were approved with 105 votes in favor out of the 106 congressmen present. In addition to approving the budget for the electoral process, permission was granted for transfers to be made to the public parties. The Liberal bench abstained from validating the vote, arguing that it was illegal. However, the Free Party clarified that according to the legislation, if a principal deputy is not present, their position might be occupied by a substitute.
Más de 105 votos, acompañamos la aprobación del presupuesto para elecciones.
Over 105 legislators voted in favor of the budget for elections. This is an important announcement for the people, and we have only made constitutional acts. The president has the prerogative to be able to have lawmakers to replace completely or temporarily deputies in the plenary of the Congress. So we have done nothing more than applying the organic law and the Constitution of the Republic, which gives us a mandate to approve the budget for not interfering with the electoral calendar, in addition to providing guarantees to the people so that the Free Party and this National Congress today complied with the Honduran people by approving the budget for the general elections.
In Honduras, heavy rains affecting much of the western part of the country have left at least one dead and over 2,000 affected. The victim is a 22-year-old identified as Orlin Josue Herrera from the department of Lempera. Authorities are investigating the circumstances of death to determine whether the young man jumped into the water or was swept away by the current. In this context, it has also been reported that more than 2,277 people have been affected by the severe storm, as many communities are currently without power. The weather forecast warns the rains will continue in the coming days, so authorities are calling on citizens to be alert and comply with official instructions. And India's State of Emergency Operations Center reported that at least 12 people have lost their lives in the northeast of the country due to monsoon rains. The authorities reported that the floods of the last few days in the state of Assam have worsened the situation, with more than 257,000 people affected in at least 21 districts in addition to the death. The report states that 2 people are still missing and that landslides and floods affecting river traffic have been reported. The authorities also reported significant losses of livestock, crops, and tourist areas in many places. And also in India, a stampede outside a cricket stadium in the southern state of Karnataka has left several people dead and many injured. The incident took place on Wednesday when thousands of fans gathered outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium in the state capital, Bengaluru, to celebrate the home team's first victory in the Indian Premier League, attempted to enter the venue from various gates. Authorities stated the crowd was uncontrollable, while police at the scene tried to transport the injured to ambulances but were unable to move quickly due to the overcrowding on roads. Local news have reported at least 11 deaths and 33 injured. In this context, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the tragic incident, calling it absolutely heartrending and offering condolences to victims' relatives. And now we have a short break coming up. First, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English. You'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. On Tuesday, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel hosted Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Khalibaf at the Palace of the Revolution in Havana. During the meeting, Cuban leader welcomed the Iranian official visit and praised the historical importance of relations between the two countries. Díaz-Canel also ratified Cuba's support for the Persian nation's right to its nuclear capabilities. For his part, the Iranian Parliament Speaker, who previously visited the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, expressed his gratitude for Cuba's support and recalled the historical friendly ties between Havana and Tehran. Both rejected the imposition of coercive measures against free nations.
Visits like this one strengthen our historical relations, expand our political dialogue at the highest level, and demonstrate the importance that both governments place on our bilateral relations, both political and economic commercial. It is an expression of the necessary unity that must exist between nations when we are both subject to coercive measures and sanctions by the U.S. imperialist empire. It is also a reminder of the continuity of the existing agreements of economic cooperation signed by President Raisi during his visit in 2023.
For his part, the Persian lawmaker confirmed the importance of the alliance between the two countries and confirmed the violent interfering and now genocidal pattern of the United States.
It is of utmost importance that now, in the current situation we are experiencing in the international arena, where we are seeing U.S. coercive and unilateral measures, it is very important that we work to counteract these measures. One example of these measures is the support that the United States is currently providing to the Zionist regime and the crimes they are committing against the Palestinian people. And considering that international expectation, it is of utmost importance to support Iran and Cuba in international forums.
During the second day, the 11th BRICS Parliamentary Forum, taking place in Brazil, advocates multilateral cooperation and a balanced and fair world order. Wednesday's session, chaired by the Brazilian Senate's Foreign Relations Committee, reiterated the importance of establishing an open and non-discriminatory multilateral trading system with a new World Trade Organization at its core. The aim is to promote inclusive economic growth and sustainable development in environmental, economic, and social sectors. This is in response to the challenges and geopolitical tensions caused by unilateral protectionist measures that generate global crisis.
E as falhas da comunidade internacional do grupo. Também inovamos na possibilidade de convidar países.
And Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula Silva has described as inadmissible threats by the United States to impose sanctions against the Brazilian Supreme Court Judge Alexandre de Moraes. The head of state has reiterated that regardless of the Supreme Court's actions, Washington should remain silent and not give its opinion. The judge will be under the Trump administration sights, as hinted by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who already stated that he would prohibit the entry to his country of all those people complicit in the censorship against United States citizens. Let's remember that Judge de Moraes blocked the accounts of Elon Musk companies in Brazil for refusing to comply with court orders and currently open an investigation against former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro for an attempted coup d'etat. And tariffs on steel and aluminum imported into the United States, which were set at 25%, will increase to 50% as of this Wednesday, following the entry into force of President Donald Trump's decree. The measure, signed this Tuesday at the White House, became effective at midnight Washington time. Although the government's decision is still under review by the U.S. courts, once again the executive overrules the judiciary, with President Trump assuring that the measure is intended to safeguard the country's security. This decision has taken place in a very tense context of negotiations with several countries, with a deadline of July 9th, where the United Kingdom is the only exemption and maintains the levy at 25%, subject to further revision. A newly elected South Korean President Lee Jae-myung took office on Wednesday, a day after winning the snap election with 49.42% of the nearly 35 million votes cast. During his inauguration ceremony held at La Rotunda Hall in the National Assembly in Seoul, Lee vowed to rebuild the nation from what he called the brink of collapse, following a failed martial law attempt. The head of state faces a daunting set of challenges, ranging from healing a country scarred by his predecessor's move to tackling protectionist actions by the United States. In addition, in this context, Lee has expressed more conciliatory plans for ties with China and North Korea, singling out the importance of Beijing as a major trading partner and vowing to reopen dialogue with Pyongyang.
다시 한번 대통령님께 큰 박수.
And South Korea's new president, Lee Jae-myung, nominated veteran lawmaker Kim In-suk as his first prime minister. Kim, a senior member of the Democratic Party and a close ally of President Lee, is known for his extensive legislative and policy experience. The nomination, announced during Lee's first official briefing, requires approval from the National Assembly, where the Democratic Party holds a majority. President Lee also named several other key officials, including Lee Yong-suk as intelligence chief and Kang Hun-sik as chief of staff, signaling a focus on experience and political unity in his new administration. And China urged the United States not to interfere in diplomatic and trade relations with South Korea. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said that relations with Seoul are based on common interests and should not be influenced by third countries. The foreign ministry reminded that China does not intervene in the internal affairs of other countries due to its principle of non-interference, and therefore advised Washington to follow its example. These statements come amid Beijing's concern over the latest statements by the U.S. government, which accused China of alleged foreign interference. And Chinese President Xi Jinping met with his Belarusian counterpart Alexander Lukashenko in Beijing on Wednesday, who is in the Asian nation on his 15th official visit. During the gathering, Xi congratulated Lukashenko on his re-election as president and highlighted the true friendship and partnership between both countries based on political mutual trust and growing cooperation in all fields. For his part, Lukashenko thanked China for its long-term support and assistance to his country, adding that Belarus has high-degree trust in the Asian nation and will actively advance cooperation. Furthermore, the head of state expressed his willingness to work with China to safeguard international fairness and justice. We now have our second and final short break coming up, where we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. You'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final break, we're going to be right back. We're going live to Venezuela, Caracas. Electoral authorities are offering statements. Let's listen.
Likewise, the On the weekend, we had the satisfaction to see the election of the indigenous peoples under their methods, under their proposals that were made for years. And so we followed this activity that is stipulated by the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela of the elections for the different poses of popular elections. So we proceed to give this information to the Venezuelan people and the world. The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and electoral power, the National Electoral Council, Caracas, June 4th, 2025. The National Electoral Council, in function of the numerals of the articles of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, in accordance with the numerals 1 and 3 of Article 33 of the Organic Law of the Electoral Power, and what is stipulated at Article 42 of Organic Law of Electoral Procedures. Processes, it considers that the constitutional processes of mayors and councillors of the municipalities councils is fulfilled in 2025 as it is sets forth Article 125 of the Bolivarian Constitution of Venezuela. So we considered that the National Electoral Board, complying with their functions and presented by this commission organ, presented the electoral calendar that will be followed by the elections of mayors, councillors, and municipalities, and for the elections of indigenous representatives for municipal elections on the states of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. So they agreed on approving the set date. So we consider that the National Electoral Board, complying with their legal authorizations, presented today the electoral calendar that will be on the popular consultation for the youth projects, which has been approved unanimously, the dates and activities there contemplated. So we just decided to summon to the elections of mayors, men and women, and the councillors of municipalities of the states of the Republic of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for June 27th, 2025. Secondly, to approve the electoral calendar for mayors' elections and councillors' elections of municipalities with their corresponding activities, being the milestones, the most relevant milestones, what it is mentioned, activities and the submissions to the elections, approval of the electoral record on June 9th, 2025, presentation of nominations from June 9th to June 13, 2025, electoral campaigns from June 11 to June 24th, 2025. Thirdly, to approve the electoral calendar for the representation for the indigenous representations elections to municipalities, councils on August 3rd, 2025, being the most relevant milestones, what is mentioned right now. Activities and presentation and admission of nominations from June 9th to 13, 2025. So the presentation of the preliminary list of submissions, approval of the definite list of nominations, and electoral campaign from June 11 to June 24th, 2025. General Assembly on August 3rd, 2025. So this is referring to the indigenous peoples. Fourthly, to provide the necessary support for the Ministry of Communes and Social Protection and to the Ministry for Youth, and to make the popular consultation and to elect the youth projects, which will be held on July 27th, 2025. Fifthly, to order the following call in the Electoral Gazette of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, according to what is established in Article 42 of the Organic Law of Electoral Processes. Resolution approved by the National Electoral Council in permanent sessions held on June 4th, 2025. Elvis Amoroso, President of the National Electoral Council; Carlos Quintero, Vice President; Rosalba Gil, Electoral Rector; Noval, Electoral Rector; Conrado Perez, Electoral Rector; and Claudia Rosa Hernandez, Electoral Rector; Leonel Parica, Electoral Rector; and Max Sachs, Electoral Rector; Antonieta De Stefano, Electoral Rector; Francisco Garcés, Electoral Rector; and Fabio Sabarce, Electoral Rector; and Antonio Meneses, General Secretary. So we say to the Venezuelan people that once again it is initiated this electoral party, in which from now on, all aspirants, all nominees to this post can begin to make their paperwork, what is established by the electoral power, one of the 5 powers of the homeland. Thank you very much to the Venezuelan people, and we will continue informing you during these days. Thank you very much.
So we were listening to the authorities of the National Electoral Council of Venezuela as they provided a small brief summary of the successful regional legislative elections held on May 25th and of the Sunday's elections of the indigenous people of Venezuela that also elected their officials to represent them at the National Assembly and the regional councils. The official was also announcing the next electoral party is going to take place in Venezuela in June. The electoral authorities gathered and authorized and came up with the dates to when the municipals and the mayors and municipal councils elections will be held, which has the period date of June 27th, a date that will be discussed and said approved or not in the coming days. And then the electoral campaign, once the date is approved, the nominees, the candidates will make their proposals, and then the campaign will begin all roughly in the second week of June, all the way until the 24th of June, and then the electoral party of this next election that is going to happen in Venezuela for mayors and municipal councils, which is due to take place on June 27. As well, they debated on the dates for the upcoming popular consultations that are also going to be held in the country for the youth and the communal projects. That's the information. Also, they announced the possible date for the indigenous elections to this as well, mayors and municipal councils elections, which is set for August 3rd. That's the latest information coming from the National Electoral Council of Venezuela. We'll have more information in the coming days as well, as they are going to continue providing more updates in coming days to come. For now, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.